Hey guys, and welcome back into my Big Brother Season 2 reviews. We are now on to episode 24 of the review series. And I gotta admit, this episode was fine. Not great, not horrible, which has been a common theme as of recently with this season. This was an episode that was very centered on Hardy. And it was, in my eyes, kind of the episode where you really started to see the downfall of Hardy. You're kind of starting to see his true colors exposed just a little bit. And that's not to say he's a horrible guy, because I've mentioned in previous reviews I don't believe he is. But I don't think he's as good of a guy as he wants us to believe. And I think he does have a lot of faults, and I do think he's a bit of a bully. Also extremely fake, and I think it's becoming more and more clear to the house guests. And, this episode starts kind of with the other house guests discussing the Hardy-Nicole relationship and how powerful of a duo they are in the house. I think anyone that's watched, multiple seasons of Big Brother knows, and it doesn't take a real intelligent person, duos are the strength in this game. When you are in duos, when you are in pairs, you are extremely dangerous. And anytime you have a duo, you want to try to eliminate it as quickly as possible. Unless you're in that duo, obviously. And Hardy and Nicole are a really effective and powerful duo. Not only because they're together, they're strong, they trust each other. But then on the fact that they've been switching back and forth HOH wins for a few weeks. And now you also throw in the fact that you're down to the final five. So with this upcoming vote, they're going to be half the house. And if those two are in the final three together, whoever's that third person is going to have a really tough, they're going to have to win to get themselves to the final two potentially. So you get Bunky, who's talked about for multiple episodes that he's scared of that duo, particularly Hardy. Will has mentioned that more so, not as much Hardy, but he's mentioned that he's afraid of Nicole. And Monica, she's too Monica-ish to admit she's scared of anybody, but she's admitted they're a really powerful duo. And, so you're getting from everyone's perspective how dangerous and how obvious it is to them that they got to get one of those two out of the house here soon. Can't go into the final three with them. Then we had a segment, kind of, it was Bunky and Hardy, which we've had a few of these recently, but basically it's Bunky doing some workout. Hardy is not even outside. He peeks his head out. He's fucking stalking Bunky from inside and basically screams at Bunky about doing his sit-ups before he eats or something. And Bunky basically is upset with Hardy yelling at him. He goes on to say that, Hardy's just a gigantic bully and he's sick of him and wants to get him out of the house. He refers, which I thought this was a great line from Bunky, he refers to Hardy and Nicole as the bully and the bitch. That's what he refers to him as. Classic line by Bunky. And, although I like Nicole, it's very true. That's kind of what they are. I like Nicole because I think she's a relatively good player, but I don't like her in terms of, I think she's this great person. I think she is kind of a bitch. But she's a good player. She's pretty entertaining. And I love that she, unintentionally helps Will throughout this game, not knowing that that's not good for her. But then we had Hardy's pissing off everyone in this episode, if you couldn't tell. He's already pissed off Bunky. Now he's about to piss off Nicole. They have it's not like a heated argument, but a brief argument about whose room the HOH room is. Basically, Nicole insinuates that it's their room. And again, Hardy's HOH this week. And Hardy kind of takes offense to that. He believes he's the king of the castle at this point. And kind of says, look, no, this is my room. And even if you do think it's our room, it's definitely more my room. And Nicole's not real receptive to that idea. They have a little bit of tension between the two during that segment. I thought it was a pretty good segment. And just, again, further shows how Hardy's starting to get on everybody's nerves. Not just Bunky, not just Will. Now he's getting on Nicole's nerves, and we'll get to another person here shortly. Then we had a segment with Bunky. He's making one last ditch effort to try to stay. He goes to Nicole to talk to her because he realizes, even though Hardy's HOH, Nicole has a lot of power and a lot of pull over Hardy. And ultimately, the whole pitch doesn't work. I think it's pretty clear to Bunky that he's on his way out of the house. But you can't fault him for trying. He's giving it his best shot. It's just Bunky's, and even as much as admits later on with Julie, he's not great at this game. He's likable enough. He's got, some pretty good social skills. He's pretty socially adaptive, but he's not very good strategy-wise. He's not a very good liar. He's just not got the backbone or the mental toughness to handle the game. He's not a mean guy. So Bunky, and I think Bunky, as he states, knows he's not great at this game. And that was, I mean, you can't fault him for trying. It's better than some of the other people who just went out, fucking didn't even try to save themselves. At least he's making an attempt to try to find some way to stay. You know, ultimately he fails, but, you know, you can't fault the guy for trying. Then we have a weird, bizarre fucking segment where they're going for their meeting that they always have. You know, I've referenced them in previous episode reviews. And Hardy randomly, I don't know what exactly the motive, or if there really was one, or if he just wasn't thinking, but he basically almost orders Monica to go sit in the red. You know, you have the two nominees that sit in the red chairs in the room. You know, so you have the two couches on the sides with the red chairs at the end where the two nominees sit. And Hardy, like, all but orders Monica to go sit in one of the red chairs next to Bunky. Keep in mind, Monica's not on the block. It is Will and Bunky that have been nominated. But he doesn't just order Monica to go sit there. He says it like 3 or 4 times. And Monica takes great offense to it. She is not appreciative of it. And, you know, so now he pissed off Monica. So in this episode, we've already had him piss off Nicole, Bunky. Will already doesn't like him, obviously. And now he's pissing off Monica. So Hardy's really creating some enemies. And again, even if he finds a way to the final 2, the fact that he's pissing all these people off along the way, they're not going to vote for him. And I think it's just a little bit of a lack of self-awareness. I don't think he's intentionally a lot of times trying to be mean. He just kind of gives that off. And he has no self-awareness. He doesn't realize that, holy shit, he's pissing people off. He doesn't like, I feel like Will would never order Monica to do something like that. Like, Will knows you can't do that to Monica. Monica's personality is she's going to take offense to that. Some people are easily offended. Some people aren't. Monica is one of those that would be easily offended. And apparently Hardy hasn't picked up on that after 60-something days. Then we had a really good segment with Will and Hardy. Well, basically it's Will going to Hardy and they're discussing, you know, the deal they'd made, you know, previously about if Will stays this week, he had to promise Hardy that he would not, if he won HOH, he would not nominate Hardy and Nicole on the block together. Will obviously agreed to it at the time. He reiterates to Hardy in this segment that, you know, the deal is still good. He still 100% intends on keeping the deal, and he would not nominate them both together. But the great part of Dr. Will as a Big Brother player is no matter what he says to house guests, he always tells us the truth. He always tells us what he is planning on doing and what he will ultimately do if he gets that opportunity. He's sitting outside like tanning, and he tells us that basically Nicole and Hardy are suckers. 100% suckers. And he says, like, look, what was his great line? Because Will has a lot of great quotes. He says, basically, some village is missing an idiot if they think I won't stab them in the back. And I just thought, like, how does Will come up with this shit? Like, that's a great line. And it's like, part of it's like, goddamn, Will's good. And then you also have a hard time not just laughing at the statement. And it's true. Like, the thing I don't understand is you got a guy like Will, who's openly admitted he will do anything to further himself in the game. He will lie, cheat, backstab. He will lie at all costs to advance himself in the game. And Hardy, Nicole, they all know that Will says that openly to them. He said that early in the game. He would do anything he had to do. Hardy's made comments to Nicole about the fact that Will's openly admitted he will lie to further himself in the game, and he has no problem doing it. So the fact that they believe him, it's like, I almost feel like they're trying to convince themselves because Hardy really knows he needs Will to stay. And he doesn't see Will as a threat, which is wrong on his part. But I really would like to know, did Hardy 100% truly trust him during BB2? Or was it like 50-50, but he decided that just throwing all his trust into him was worth the risk because he only thought he could beat him? If you guys are following my train of thought here, like, you never really get clarification if you 100% trust Will. Nicole has made comments where she said she did. There was one episode a while back where she said she trusted Will 100%. But Hardy's never said that. So you never really get clarification how much Hardy truly trusts him. He obviously does somewhat, but how much? I would like to know that. But I don't think we ever get that answer. Ultimately, though, Bunky's evicted. It's our first tie. It's a 1-1 vote. Ultimately, Hardy's the tie-breaking vote. He casts it to a vote Bunky. It's a pretty emotional moment. Bunky's a great guy. Whether you liked him or didn't like him on the show, he's just a good dude. And I don't think there's anybody that didn't at some point have a time where they were rooting for Bunky. Like, he was definitely not my favorite in the game, but there was never a time where I didn't like him. I mean, I've done these reviews since episode 1. And there's been at least 2 or 3 times where I said, like, I would like Bunky to win HOH. And again, this is not a guy I loved or necessarily was rooting for, at least not out front and openly. But it's just like you like him and you want to root for him. You don't want him to leave. Got a little fucking plane joining the review, if you can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it. But then we had the ending of the episode, which I got to admit, I forgot about this episode. Or I forgot about this competition that's coming up soon. I forgot this happened in season 2. But as soon as I saw the upcoming competition, my fucking heart rate picked up and I got super excited. Because episode 25, guys, that's a review you're not going to want to miss. Because we got an amazing HOH competition coming up. This is going to be, coming up in episode 25. We're going to have a moment from this from this season that I think really is the moment where you find out, like, this show's got legs. Like, this show is going, like, if you were watching this show back in season 2, episode 25, what happens during this HOH competition that's coming up is the moment where I think you would realize, like, this show has legs to stand on. This show is going to be a hit. This show is going to be legendary. And it starts, in my opinion, with what happens during the HOH competition in episode 25. And I'm really excited to get to that episode. I'm going to do that episode review tomorrow. So thanks for checking in, guys. Do you agree that Hardy really kind of did himself in this episode by pissing every single person left in the house off? Do you believe this was the downfall of Hardy as a player? And do you believe he has no self-awareness, as I do? Just the fact that he continuously makes these comments, pisses people off. It doesn't really seem to be aware that he's doing so. But thanks for checking in, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back for my episode 25 review shortly. Thanks, guys. I'm out. Go Dr. Wheel, baby.